Welcome to Full Speed Ahead. I'm Craig Fuller here with Kendra Tucker, the CEO of Truckstop, one of the stalwarts of the freight tech industry. Kendra, how are you today?
I'm doing so well, Craig. Thanks for having me.
Kendra, Truckstop is celebrating its 30th year, which I think says a lot about the company's history, seen a lot of evolution of this industry over that time period, and really the evolution of the small carrier and the brokers really taking on a really large percent of freight that's handled. What are your observations coming into this 30th year?
Well, from our end, we are delighted to be celebrating 3 whole decades at Truckstop. That's a long time to be serving truckers. We could not be more committed to what we do each day. You know, when we founded the business in 1995, it was to help small truckers find freight. That is still at the heart of who we are and what we do. So, some of the observations as we think about 30 years and especially 2025 is how much the industry has evolved, particularly over the past few years. Just thinking about when I joined Truckstop, which was 5 years ago, there were only 220,000 for hire carriers in the industry that we could serve. And at one point, it got to being over 400,000, so it doubled. And now it's around 370,000 or so. And so just the presence in the industry has significantly increased in the past few years. And then how they do their work, I think, is different. So the rise of just more technology in freight to help both the carrier and the broker has been really quite a material change when you just think about the evolution in the past 3 decades or so. So it's great to be, as you said, a stalwart in this industry. It's great to be serving our carriers for as long as we have.
Now, Kendra, it says a lot about Truckstop's organization to gone through all of the generations of freight tech. There's been a lot of companies that have come and gone, but Truckstop continues to innovate, continues to focus on building resources for small carriers as well as brokers alike. What do you really what do you attribute that to?
We spend a lot of time really almost studying the carrier, studying the relationship between brokers and carriers, spending time with our customers to understand what their needs are, what their problems are, what they want us to solve. So, one of the things that we've been focused on recently that we believe strengthens trust between our brokers and carriers is really exposing who might be the best partners for our carriers, particularly the smaller ones, particularly the ones who are just entering the industry. So, one of the features that we've added to the load board is what we call the authority tenure filter, where you can see which brokers are requiring a certain amount of tenure in your authority, right? To figure out, is that freight that you want to bid on or go for? So it also helps highlight then which brokers and which freight is more accessible to some of those newer carriers that are coming in.
It seems like that's a real important feature to really drive compliance, security. That's a big topic in our industry. Uh, the industry is obviously dealing with just a number of challenges, but you guys did a recent survey about the industry and perception among carriers on what they're feeling. Tell us a little bit about what that survey demonstrated.
Yeah, it's something that we do on a pretty regular basis is understand how are carriers feeling about the work they do each day. And overwhelmingly this time, what we got was optimism. So greater than half of our carriers say they expect the next 3 to 6 months to be better than it was last year, to be better than it probably has been in the next 2 years or so. So that's really good. Our carriers are saying that Q4 for them, they did not experience hardships that they had experienced in the previous year's Q4. So that's already feeling better. And then our data is corroborating that as well. So when you look at spot prices, they're up about 1.5% since Q4 and about 8% year over year. So that's good. That's good news for our carriers. Their optimism suggests they feel that too.
I know a lot of folks would love to hear that, carriers, folks in the carrier community. It's hard. We've been through one of the longest, not the largest downturn in history. We're coming out of that. Your data is suggesting it. Your survey is suggesting it.
Yeah.
Do you think that we're still in a freight recession? Are we in a recovery? What is your assessment of where the market is right now?
I think we are at the beginning of the recovery, right? I say it cautiously. I'm cautiously optimistic about it. I think what we can all agree on when I talk to our customers, both on the broker and the carrier side, is that this recovery will feel different
Mhm.
than, previous recoveries or previous up markets. So it will feel, even as we come out of bouncing on the bottom, it'll feel more tepid than it felt in 2020, 21, right? But I think everyone agrees that it does not feel like 22 or 23, and it's got more of an uptick, an upward slope than the previous years.
Yeah, and it doesn't even feel like 24. If you look at the first half of 24,
Yeah.
it was still coming out of 23, and it certainly is better. It's hard to, so much noise going around in the media environment with all of the, I mean, someone who lives in Washington, D.C., is sort of in the epicenter of a lot of the focus around the media about things are happening. But what
Yeah.
I have seen is that all this conversation in the broader media doesn't seem to be impacting the freight market. In fact, we're seeing signs that things are improving. Truckstop is the market leader in flatbed. There's been some recent developments in your data talking about the strength of the flatbed market. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're actually seeing from your flatbed operators?
Yeah, the same is true actually. So continued optimism. The uptick in rates is about the same. So it's tracking the same. We always see, as you know, as you mentioned, we have a really strong representation in flatbed across both the freight side as well as the carrier authorities that are signed up with us. And so seeing even growing numbers in that segment is also something that shows up in the data right now. So strength for sure, but strength, I would say, and I want to be careful again, not 2021 strength, right?
You have to be very careful. I've
Yeah.
said, I've been very
Yeah.
public about the freight recession ending, and people have said, well, but it's not so great. And,
Yeah.
but from compared to where we're at, it certainly feels a lot better.
Exactly. So that's why I want to be cautious about the word strength. What I mean is it's not as weak as it was in previous years. Like you said, it is better at the start of 24 as we look at new authorities entering the market, not just in flatbed, but across the board. And then for us, even seeing the uptick, right, in customer engagement and customer growth.
Yeah, I love the analogy of seasons in this industry because this is a cyclical industry that goes through, winters and summers. And right now, this feels like, it's 65, 70 degrees here today in Chattanooga, Tennessee. We're starting spring. Is that warm? Well, in July, that's not warm. It is warmer than we were in the winter. And I think a lot about freight as well is things are better. It is not hot, but it is certainly hot if you compare it to the 20 degrees we had 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly. We are in the spring, like
Very
the
early spring, getting a couple of green shoots that are out there that's telling us things are
exactly.
coming back. That's great. Well, one of the things that is important as the market improves is the idea of these carrier relationships and broker relationships, because when we have a big inflection point, things do change, and carriers get a little bit more pricing power, they get a little bit more optionality in what freight they get to pick. How are you helping carriers pick better partners? And how are you helping brokers secure more capacity if, we see significant strengthening in the freight market this year?
Yeah. So there's a few things that we're doing that we've added this year that helps to build strength and confidence in the relationships that carriers can build with brokers and vice versa. So one of the things that we implemented, I want to say it was about a year ago that we've really had good adoption on, is identity verification for both carriers as well as for brokers. So making sure that anyone who enters our ecosystem, particularly as they come through our onboarding and compliance, that they are using multi-factor authentication as well as then of government issued form of ID to make sure that they are who they say they are. And then we are doing the matching behind the scenes to verify that that is associated with the authority that we've got on file. So that's one of the newer things that we've added that just helps establish trust using technology, right, on our end. So that's one thing. The second thing that we've started doing is our RMIS business is one of the Truckstop properties that we have here. And we get tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of carriers who go through that system on a monthly basis. Part of what we're doing now is exposing them to, as they onboard with a broker, other brokers that look like the one they just onboarded with that would be great matches for them. So we've got this feature that we're calling the Carrier Control Center. We want our carriers to feel like they can be in control of determining who they're building relationships with on the broker side. And so we're putting that in front of them, kind of exposing information, data that we already have on our side to make it a bit easier for them. So that's those are some of the newer features that are meant to help carriers just have a bit more control around who they're building relationships with.
I mean, it seems like a powerful, and one of the challenges you talked about the growth of this industry and just all of the new participants. We've not only talked about new carriers that have entered the market, but there's been a big growth in brokerage and brokers that have entered the market. Many of them are high quality, operate perhaps are relatively small, and don't have the level of sort of networks that some of the larger players do. By exposing them, you're able to, for a small carrier, access freight that maybe you didn't know the counterparty, you didn't know who the broker was, and you were sort of cautious about whether should I trust that this is a broker that I should do business with. You guys are doing the work on the back end to actually show some credibility because of the quality of that operator.
That's exactly right. And it builds on features that we've already had as part of Truckstop that we've had for, again, decades, which is we've always published things like, or information like days to pay. So how long does it take a broker on average to pay you, right, after you've moved the freight? We do things like our security and assurance team takes in complaints that come from carriers or brokers. So we are facilitating that. It's one of the reasons why OIDA actually has decided to partner with us exclusively is because of this focus that we have on building trust between carriers and brokers and the objective neutral way that we go about doing it on behalf of the industry and the major players. So there are a number of features that we've always had in the Truckstop ecosystem and that we continue to build upon because we just believe that with our technology, it just sets us up to create trust on both sides.
Kendra, one of the things that I hear from a lot of the newer carriers that are out there is this tenure concept that brokers have instilled. Is It's an important, you talked about tenure a broker, but also for small carriers, because of the fraud that's been propagating the industry, as brokers have put stronger requirements of how long a carrier needs to be tenured. What do you tell a small operator that's just getting into the business that has a high quality business, but maybe was a former company truck driver that's gone out and bought their own truck? They've got a relatively new authority. How can they build trust with operators so that they can actually be accepted into some of the perhaps other players or higher quality freight that they're currently not able to participate in?
Yeah, that's what we're really hoping to do with things like the authority tenure requirements. We are so uniquely positioned at Truckstop because we have the RMIS information. We actually know all the rules or standards, the hiring standards that brokers have for their business as a whole, but then actually down to the load level. So obviously, moving different kinds of freight will change requirements up or down. And so part of what we're trying to do is make it easier for carriers, particularly those with lower authority tenure, to be able to access that information. So what I would tell them is you've got to determine which brokers and which freight is readily accessible to you, bid competitively on that so that you can start to build relationships, right, with those brokers. So it's being able to find the freight that is quite winnable for you and then purposefully deepening those relationships, particularly at the agent or rep level, right? At the broker. So you've got somebody, a person that you know that you can call directly. So we're trying to help facilitate that and expose more of what we know in our unique position sitting between both parties.
Yeah, it seems really important because one of the things that happens in these freight markets is that the freight that's high quality ends up going away, and if I'm wasting my time on freight because I'm a young carrier or maybe haven't done a lot of the types of loads that I haven't met the standards that specific broker has on
Yeah,
that specific types of freight, there's no point in me bidding on it because I'm not there yet.
that's
There
right.
is a pathway to get there, but right now it's not worth the time. I need to find freight that I can get access to that is available to me, and by filtering that out, seems like it saves the carrier a lot of time. It also means that I'm able to chase freight that uh, I'm able to get faster than maybe others are.
That's exactly right. And over time, in this carrier control center, our intention is to not just give information to the carrier, but also give them the opportunity to share information about their business that can help them build those relationships further and make them very attractive, right, to a broker. One of the things we know for sure is just because you've got a new authority, right, that you've just got your authority active in the last 6 months or 6 to 12 months, it doesn't mean that you don't have experience in transportation. Many of the new authorities have been drivers at other companies before. And so being able to expose that to brokers to increase the level of trust that they might need to build at the outset of the relationship, that's really important. We want to be able to facilitate that even further.
Yeah, relationships are key to this industry, and that's if regardless of how much technology is there, the thing that's I think often misunderstood from people outside it is just how important relationships are, and it's important to build that credibility consistently working with certain providers because you do at that point create more credibility with them that enables you to unlock a lot of opportunities that weren't available to you.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Kendra, what is the thing that at Truckstop that's driving your 30th anniversary in terms of extending the resources to help enable carriers to be more successful?
So we're doing a showcase actually internally where we are featuring videos that have been submitted by our customers to hear what they've loved about us and our partnership with them over the last 30 years, and then also what they want us to work on. Which everyone has something to say about what they'd like us to work on. So I think, Kat, like just across the board, what we hear from both brokers and carriers is how much they trust us, right? So I they love to call us the internet truck stop, which was originally how we started, right, 30 years ago.
Old name,
Oh my
old
gosh!
legacy.
So we're totally bringing that back.
I love it. It's like the Facebook and internet truck stop. So,
Not Google, right?
and you can always tell someone who's been in this industry a long time when they use the word internet truck stop because that was the foundational name.
It was.
When did
Hey,
you guys change the internet? When did you drop the word
oh,
internet?
we dropped that probably, I don't know, I want to say 10 years ago. At
Okay.
least 10 years ago, we dropped it. But the customers who've been with us the longest, they don't know.
It's always internet truck stop.
It's
It's funny when I read people or hear people say that, I'm just like, well, this person's
I love it when I
in
go
this
out on
industry
my
a long time.
rides. Yeah, when I go out
That's
on my
awesome.
rides or we're at a truck stop, they know us as the internet truck stop. I kind of have to introduce myself as the CEO of the internet truck stop so they know who we're talking about, which is great. We love it. So one of the ideas we have is bringing back some of the vintage T-shirts, that have the internet truck stop on it, the original logo, just because our customers love it, and it just gives good feelings, to everybody. So.
Kendra, 30 years is really, I mean, the internet is basically 30 years. I think what people, I have young kids, I have some teenagers, and what they don't realize is the internet is I mean, in my lifetime, in your lifetime, the internet happened. Like we didn't
Exactly.
have the internet growing up, and I think
Oh,
younger people don't realize that. And I remember Truck Stop in its early days because you guys were so early. Is the internet Truck Stop website was very very just rudimentary. It would be highly offensive to a young person today, but you've come a long way in that time. You guys, this high tech company, this incredibly well-respected marketing brand that's doing some really interesting things. It's really innovative, and even the marketing's innovative. It wasn't always that way 20 years ago. So there's been, in 30 years ago especially, things have really taken hold. I love the fact going back to the vintage days of internet truck stop. I
Vintage.
think it's a fun story.
Yeah, it's just a great story to like put it side by side and say, here's what it used to look like. Here's, and then watching us grow up, right? Like our teenage years and what that looked like. So that's really fun. I love that we're doing this showcase of here's the customers who've been with us for the better part of that 30 years. Here's what they have to say about us, both the good, the bad, all of it. We want and appreciate all of it. So anyway, we are really focused on deepening our relationship with those customers across this year, partially in celebration of the 30 years, but just because it's just who we are at the core of our business. It's just who we are.
I would love to hear some of the stories about some of the earliest adopters and earliest customers tell what it was like in 1996
Yeah.
using the internet truck stop, because I'm sure things are completely different when we
Yeah.
were in those days. Well,
There
hopefully
you
you'll share that video with us, because we would love to
go.
have it. I'm sure Dooner, this is the perfect segment for Dooner
Excellent.
to dive into the 30-year segment. So, Kendra, before I go, I'm going to put you on the spot. Is it blue skies ahead? Are we out of the freight recession completely? What is your prognosis?
I think if I were to say it the way my iPhone gives me the weather, it's partly cloudy. I think it's a high of 60, but it feels like 45.
Storm clouds on the horizon, maybe, that may
No,
come.
it's like the clouds are breaking up,
Okay.
right? It's like, right. So we were in the storm. There's still a little leftover storm, but the clouds are breaking up. The blue sky is starting to come through.
Now you do get. I always, I look at the weather a lot as a pilot, and so you do get spring creates. You do have thunderstorms that pop up out of nowhere. These afternoon thunderstorms, particularly here in the south. So that will happen, and there'll be a lot of noise around it. But ultimately, it is getting warmer, as you said, and that's certainly exciting.
Yeah, I agree. It is exciting. I think optimism, tempered optimism, is the right way forward.
Well, fantastic. Kendra, appreciate you coming on today, sharing your story. Best of luck in the 30-year anniversary. I hope that you guys have great celebrations, and we would look forward to getting the video when you guys complete it.
I love it. Will do. Happy to share it. Thanks for having me, Craig.
Appreciate it, Kendra.